Welcome to AG's Ace. Extrajudicial killings, lack of political intent, and alienation of the civilian population is what the AFSPA has left in its wake. AFSPA basically means the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which was introduced largely in the northeastern states to control insurgency, to stop infiltration, and also to check local militancy. Kashmir is another area where it is still in place. Of course, recently, the news peg is that the government has removed AFSPA from certain areas of the Northeast, but the larger debate remains. So today, let's focus on the blood spilled by the AFSPA and how it has been misused in certain instances. So let me begin with the first instance, which is in November 2000. 10 civilians were gunned down by the 8th Assam Rifles at Malom Makhalekai near Imphal Tulihal Airport. Now, the troops claimed that it was an encounter because their convoy came under attack, but the courts, which probed the matter later, found no evidence to suggest the same. So it has been branded more or less as a fake encounter. After 21 years, the High Court ordered a compensation of only rupees 5 lakhs each to the families of the victim. As a spin-off activist, well-known activist Iram Sharmila fasted for 16 years to make a point. She did not have any solid foods during those many years until justice was served. Now, back home and before Malom, there was another horrific incident, and this time in February 1994, when troops of the 18 Punjab Regiment based at Dhola in Tinsukia picked up 9 youths from their homes in Tinsukia district's Talap area following the death of Rameshwar Singh, who was the manager of a tea estate called the Talap Tea Estate. Singh was allegedly killed by the Alpha, and these men were picked up on suspicion. Now, after receiving reports of the missing people, there was a habeas corpus petition filed in the Guwahati High Court, and under that pressure, following the court order, the special forces released 4 men, while the other 5 were taken on boats to the Dibru Saikhowa National Park, where they were shot. Now, the autopsy revealed that they were brutally tortured and then killed. The Amshipura murders, or the Shopian fake encounter case, refers to the killings of 3 Kashmiri laborers, including 1 minor, in Shopian. The incident took place in July 2020 when the armed forces alleged they received inputs about the presence of militants and carried out the operation. It was later confirmed that the deceased were laborers. 2 army personnel were arrested and 1 was detained. Another very infamous case was the rape and murder of Thangya Manorama, which still resonates in Manipur. She was only 32 years old, and she was picked up by the 17th Assam Rifles on 11th of July 2004, and the next day, not far from her home, her bullet-ridden body was found. The autopsy revealed that she had been raped, tortured, and then killed. And basically, the charge against her was that she was assisting militancy, and there was a grenade found from her house and some other incriminating evidence. And on that basis, a commission of inquiry was set up by the Manipur government in 2004. It submitted its report, and the Guwahati High Court also looked into the matter and ruled that since the Assam Rifles had been deployed under the AFSPA, the state government could not take any action. Now, as a result of that, the matter should have been dealt with by the center. The report was never released, subject to the judgment. 5 days after the killing, around 30 middle-aged ladies, they walked naked through Imphal to the Assam Rifles headquarters, and they shouted slogans and said that the Indian Army, rape us too, we are all Manorama's mothers. Padma Shri author M.K. Binodini Devi, she returned her award in protest. It became a very, very big deal. Now, in 2012, the Justice Verma Committee probed the matter, and they wanted steps to be taken to prevent violence against women. They were pretty disturbed by this happening. Recently, in December 2014, in a case filed at the Supreme Court, the Apex Court awarded a compensation of 10 lakh rupees to Manorama's family, which would have been close comfort. But in the past, courts could not even spell any judgment against the culprits for awarding punishment because of the jurisdiction factor. And now let's take a quick look at the politics behind it all. Now, there is Section 4 of the AFSPA, which clearly gives special rights to the army officers, to any paramilitary officers, to destroy, and listen to this carefully, to destroy any arms dump, prepared or fortified position or shelter. Now, that is fine, but it comes down to the fact that if militants are found holed up in any house in the valley, then after they are eliminated, the whole house is blown up. Now, that is done to avoid any incriminating stuff being found. It's basically a message being sent by the paramilitary forces that if you shelter militants, this is what is going to happen to you. And 99% of the cases, the houses have been destroyed, which has created a lot of resentment amongst people in the valley. And that is something that needs to be looked into. Now, during the UPA regime, Chidambaram was in favor, who was then the Home Minister, was in favor of withdrawing AFSPA from certain areas. The Home Ministry had routed a proposal too, but the Defence Minister then, A.K. Antony, said no. The Congress was in favor of dialogue with the stakeholders in the valley, but when the BJP government came into power, it flexed its muscles and took a stronger and a tougher stand. Now, let's look very quickly at some of the figures after the BJP took charge. Figures from the Home Ministry show deaths in all three categories: civilians, security personnel, and terrorists. Between 2014 and 2018, the number of civilians killed in J&K had risen by 35%. The number of security persons killed had increased by 93%, and the number of terrorists, the percentage who had been killed, was 133%. The numbers went through the roof, it shot sky high. Now, security experts basically argue that AFSPA should not be construed as a license to kill, but the in cold reality is that it is a license to kill, and the charges of extrajudicial killings of fake encounters against armed forces need to be properly investigated, and it cannot be left to some jurisdiction issue that a matter is tossed to the center, and after that hardly any action is taken, or decades go by before any action is finally taken. It's fine to protect your men in uniform, but these kind of instances lend a very bad name, not only to India, but sends a very strange signal to the rest of the world. In my view, AFSPA must go. Thanks for watching.